specifics, but we'll just let folks know that coming up this morning at 10:30 at the Indiana Borough offices, you will be holding a press conference and the latest information concerning a couple of incidents that occurred back on February 14th at a couple of locations on Wayne Avenue. You'll be addressing that with the latest information coming up.
Well, yes, that's correct. So everyone should be thoroughly tired of hearing me speak today, but the press conference is in conjunction with the Indiana County District Attorney's Office and District Attorney Bob Manzi. So at 10 a.m. today, we'll address the media regarding arrests that were able to be made in regards to investigations at 835 and 841 on Wayne Avenue, as you've accurately said, Valentine's night, February 14th here in Indiana Borough.
Okay, I just wanted to ask you, how was 2019 overall for Indiana Borough and for your police department? Can you give us a wrap up on how the year went?
Well, I have nothing but positive things to say. I've been a police officer for 19 years, so personally, 2019, my first year of appointment as chief of police, I think went well, and I'm continually humbled with the opportunity to serve Indiana Borough and to lead. And law enforcement is challenging. Community policing is challenging. I'm not prepared to say that it was easy. In fact, personally, I've probably been busier and worked harder in 2019 than likely I have in years past. But everyone made it through safely, which is first and foremost in my mind and in my heart. Everyone that I work with is more important to this community than I am. So from that point of view, I'm just trying to equip your police officers with tools for their success and for their safety. And I've really enjoyed the opportunity, but it's been a great challenge in my lifetime so far.
With 2019 being your first year as the chief of police in Indiana Borough, were there any surprises that you weren't expecting?
Well, I will tell you this. Retired Chief William Sutton made everything he did seem easy. And I was most struck with it was a short walk from my previous office to my new office, but it may as well have been 100 miles because the job is just that different. He made it look easy, so I think if I was surprised by anything, it was just his outward peaceful demeanor and composure, because there are some days where it seems like I don't have time for one more thing to do.
Was there a lot of cooperation with the citizens of Indiana Borough and the surrounding area during the year with you?
There was. Very much so. I worked very hard to increase our opportunities for community engagement, because it's what Indiana Borough deserves, because it's what Indiana Borough's police officers deserve. We're all in this together. Community policing at its core was never meant to be 20 males and females alone. It's always meant to be the community. And so that was intentional. I hope that it was noticeable in the community, and I think that our residents and visitors and students at the university should expect more of the same, because if I could spend every day focused on proactive efforts and community peace, safety, and comfort, that's exactly what I would do. Being reactive is expensive. Being reactive is at times dangerous, and although we can bring successful resolve to negative issues, if we don't prevent those negative issues, we're not truly succeeding. So Indiana Borough is a great place. It is a wonderful atmosphere here and environment, and that's what we're focused on, because that's what this community deserves.
I know it's hard for you and your staff to try to look ahead at some things might come up, because things just pop up out of nowhere that you're probably not even expecting to occur, right?
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of my day is dealing with unexpected circumstances. I'm not complaining, because the life of a police officer is dealing with unexpected circumstances. Officers on the street may deal with the same general type of investigation 100 or 1,000 times in their career, but I can assure you that each one is different. There aren't always the same facts and circumstances. Victims of crime, although a police officer may have encountered that same circumstance 100 times, generally speaking, for our residents, it's the first time that they're encountering it. So it's important every time. It would be dangerous for us to let our hair down and relax and assume that things are peaceful, right, and good. Because although they generally are, there's a great amount of effort that's required to make it that way. And so I'm delighted to think that Indiana is considered a wonderful community, and that's very much to do with the people who are working here, not just in law enforcement, but just everyone in this community.
As we mentioned, coming up in a couple of hours, you'll have that press conference with information. But are there some things that people should keep in mind if they come across an incident or they become involved in an incident where police and maybe some other responders need to be called into that situation?
Well, I would offer that if you're the victim of a crime, the first thing you should do is call the police or call 911. Other than that, your safety is of paramount importance, so we would never, from a law enforcement perspective, want anyone to put themselves in a situation that would create more danger or more unrest or more chaos for their personal life. It is always helpful for us to have great witnesses to things that happen. So my recommendation would be if you could slow down and get to a place where you can make some solid observations, there would be a time and a place. It may not be right away, but there would be a time and a place to report that to the police, and that's very helpful. Other than that, when there's a large-scale incident or when you can tell it's obvious that there's an emergency response to a situation, it's always most prudent to stay away. I know that there's an instinct to want to walk towards and see what's happening, but in those instances, it's safe to say that that's a larger scale event that's likely more dangerous and more complex than an average routine, and so we would want all those things to be done safely.
For those people who do become a witness to an incident, sometime the smallest detail can be very important, right?
Oh, for sure. And as I sit here, I couldn't even begin to tell you what detail is important. We may not know until we hear it. It may be something very minimal. It may be something larger. It may be something that you think has nothing to do with the situation. Everything is important. The more information we have, the better judgments we'll be able to make, the more sound investigations we'll be able to conduct, and that brings credit to everybody. So no one in this community should discount their observations or details that they think may be insignificant, because everything's significant.
Justin Schawl, Chief Police at Indiana Borough, with us this morning here on Indiana in the Morning. Now, I know there are some big events that will be coming up. The weather is warming up now, and you and your police department and help from other area law enforcement agencies have always handled these situations with such great care and taking care of business. Of course, IUP Patty's just around the corner, right?
Well, yeah. Generally speaking, I am a firm believer that we're all better together than we are individually. So we've invited several partners to assist us with what we anticipate to be an increased activity weekend coming up in the very near future. It's an unsanctioned event. It's organic, social media driven. So in some regards, it's difficult to prepare for in size and scope. With that being said, we have St. Patrick's Day, which we can plan for. There will be a parade in downtown. Moving into April, we'll have some Easter festivities downtown, and then moving even beyond that, we'll have the West Sylvania Jazz Festival and some enhancements to that event for this year. So when we're talking about special events and planning of such, everything requires coordination. It requires coordination from street department, code department, borough management, council members, police officers, oftentimes police officers from other agencies, not because the Indiana Borough Police Department is not capable of handling these incidents, but because in an abundance of caution, it is so much more prudent for us to plan to have extra resources available so that every need of an Indiana Borough resident can be met timely and professionally. And so in that same regard, the Indiana Borough Police Department extends itself to the Pennsylvania State Police, the IEP Police Department, the Punxsutawney Police Department, Homer City, Blairsville, Clymer, and alike, because we're all in this together, and everyone's committed to the sense of community.
And you and your outside agencies have done these types of programs now for so many years that you have your ideas all lined up. You know what you want to do and pretty much what to expect, right?
Well, every year we create an emergency plan. Every year we have an action plan. Every year we have after-action review. I would hesitate to say that it's the same every year because we could do it 100 times and it'll be different. And these larger scale events are no different. It just requires an inordinate amount of planning and preparation. But I can assure you that we are prepared in the same general way that we would be every other year. but circumstances in the moment always dictate the exact level of preparation.
But you're able to learn from experiences from the past years.
Well, if we're not learning, we're falling behind. That's for sure. And believe me, there is a lot for me to learn. So we're learning from every year, and we just hope that every year creates a better experience for everybody here.
Now, one current topic that you may not have anything to do with, but I just wanted to ask you, the coronavirus, is that affecting your department? Are there any things that you need to do, maybe in case it would come through our area?
Oh, well, I appreciate that question. Certainly not a topic that I had in the forefront of my mind as I was speaking with you here today, but I would offer this, that Indiana Borough and manager Michael Foote are going to great lengths to prepare this community for any potential emergency preparedness need. With that being said, the police department obviously is also discussing and preparing for that. We're following general guidance of, same protocols as with the flu. Wash your hands, try and keep clean, stay away from people who are obviously ill, and if we're ill ourselves, stay at home. So those are some sound things that we are doing. I think as, medical issues or emergency preparedness gets closer to Indiana, that I may have more information on that. And some information I have that I'm probably not ready to discuss at the moment, but I could tell you this. I am fully confident that Indiana County's emergency management, Indiana Borough's administration, the Indiana Borough Police Department, and county officials are certainly on top of what is going to keep us safest and healthiest for the coming months.
Yeah, those groups are probably being updated and looking at information every day concerning the latest spread.
We all are. And we're just going to take the appropriate precautions. Rest assured, though, if there is community news or community needs that need expressed, myself and Manager Foote will most certainly make ourselves available to you or really to anyone else in the community to get that information out. So that's an assurance that you can have.
I know getting out, making public appearances, and especially when you're able to go to our elementary schools, and I believe even in past years you've started programs with junior high and high schools about general safety and things that our young folks can do. That's still a big part of the Indiana Borough Police schedule, isn't it?
Oh, it's a priority for certain. The safety of our children in our schools is top priority. And also, while we're accomplishing those enhanced safety efforts, we're also building relationships. I can think of no better way to build a relationship with our community than to start very young in our schools, make police officers accessible, on hand for any needs that may arise. But really, it's about relationships. And positive relationships lead to positive encounters. Positive encounters keep our citizens safe, and they keep our police officers safe. So as a chief of police, there'd be no other direction that I would be headed other than trying to create as many positive relationships as I can between the police and our community, starting with and heavily focused on our schools.
Finally, I know technology is always a changing development for law enforcement. Any new devices that you look forward to using this year that you haven't had in the past?
Well, I'll tell you, technology is something that's becoming more accessible, and certainly Indiana Borough should be embracing technology. Specifically speaking, there's no new technology in the moment coming, but there is technology out there. There are some bills out that are talking about radar for municipal police departments. There's some technology out that assist police departments in reading license plates, because PennDOT no longer has stickers on the back of a license plate. So in some ways, and also automation, anything that we can do to automate our systems for patroller reporting, these are things we need to be embracing in 2020. And part of my forward-moving leadership in that manner will be to bring as much sensible technology that we can use prudently and respectfully to Indiana Borough.
Well, Chief Schawl, we certainly thank you for coming through, visiting